In this video, we'll review how you can use the accuRx chain inbox to easily manage Florey responses. By Florey responses, I mean those texts that you've sent out to your patients with links to pre-made questionnaires so that you can collect structured data for things like asthma and COPD. All responses to Florey questionnaires sent out by anyone at the practice are grouped together in the chain inbox. To find out where they are, we need to open up the inbox by clicking on this icon here. Florey responses are grouped together under associated teams in the chain inbox. For example, all responses to asthma questionnaires sent out by the practice will appear under the asthma team, and all responses to COPD questionnaires sent out by the practice appear under the COPD team. I'll explain why teams sit under my teams or other teams in a minute, but the thing that's important to know is that you'll always be able to see any Florey questionnaire responses that have been returned to the practice, even if you didn't send out the text to the patient asking them to complete the questionnaire. And you can find those responses by just clicking on the relevant team, and those teams will either be under my teams or they'll be under other teams. By default, the first time that you send a Florey to a patient and they respond to it, you will automatically be added to the team for that type of Florey questionnaire. So I've just sent out a flu vaccine invitation for the first time and the response has just come in. If I click on it, you can see that I have automatically been added to the vaccinations team. Being part of a team means that the team appears under my teams, and for any teams that appear under my teams, you will be notified anytime a response comes back to that team, even if it's not a response to a Florey that you have sent out yourself. So for example, if my colleague sends out an asthma questionnaire and the response comes back, I'll also be notified because the asthma team is sitting under my teams. If you don't want to be notified when a Florey questionnaire is returned to the practice, all you need to do is access the inbox and find the relevant team. So for example, if I wanted to leave the COPD team, I could just click here and then click leave team. And that means that I won't be notified when any COPD questionnaires are returned to the practice, even if it's a COPD questionnaire that I myself sent out. I'll still be able to find the responses in the COPD team, but I won't be notified about them. If I decide, actually, I would like to start being notified again about all of these COPD questionnaires, then I can just manually join the team again. Anyone at the practice can access their inbox and manually join or leave any of the teams at any time. There's a few different actions that we can take on Florey responses. So I have the option to view the response by clicking on it here, and I have the option to save everything to the record, including any SnoMed codes that might be attached to the response, just by clicking on this button here. I might decide that for one of these other Florey responses, I'd quite like to move it into my own inbox, so I clearly know that that's the Florey response that I'm responsible for, or I might decide that my colleague needs to take a look at it. So you can easily move the response by using the assign to option down here. So right now you can see that this response is assigned to the asthma team. If I click here, I can find one of my colleagues and just assign it to them, or I could even assign it to myself just by clicking here. And I can see it's moved to my inbox here. Since Florey questionnaires sent out by all users at the practice are grouped into the same place in the inbox, we recommend that you mark any Florey responses as done by clicking on one of the done buttons here once they have been actioned. This makes sure that everyone at the practice knows exactly what still needs to be handled. If one of your colleagues was also notified about the response when it came in, For example, if you're both part of the asthma team, marking the response as done will remove the red notification from their toolbar that's related to that new response, so that they don't spend time on something that's already been looked at.